A very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to uLaw CPD webinar. Topic for today's session is Law Society Bookkeeping Compliances. This topic is entitled for 1 hour of professionalism CPD credits. And as you all know, this session is being recorded. It's going to be available on our YouTube platform as early as Monday. For people joining in a little later, that would be helpful. And let's give it a minute or so for people joining in, settling down. Perfect. If one of you is able to let me know on the chat window that's my audio, it would be great. Excuse us for this background noise because we have more folks joining in. With a minute or two, people should be settling in. I see a lot of frequent attendees. Thank you so much for being here, showing your support every week. Means a lot. While people are joining in, let me quickly go over the agenda for today's session. The agenda for today's session includes understanding what are various law society compliances when it comes to bookkeeping. That being said, monthly, quarterly, annual, mostly focusing on monthly and what are the types of documents that one can generate or one should be generating rather when they are in practice and they have their trust, generally irrespective of whether they have trust or not. And how many of these are ledgers, journals? What are these ledgers and journals? What do they do? What do they consist of? What information do they carry? What importance and weightage do they carry, especially in the eyes of law society? Understand how reconciliations stand and what is so important about reconciliation, especially considering trust is one of the most important law society requirements. And other compliance documents. The top compliance documents definitely consist of reconciliations, trust, general credit card, general meaning credit card as well. And then 2 ledgers, general and trust, again. Then 4 journals. And we also have fee book, Form 9As, expense book. Fee book shows all your legal fee collected for the particular period with taxes, without taxes, disbursements showing separate. And why should you be maintaining it? Understand why a firm should maintain a fee book, and also revenue, profit and loss, and other other balance sheet, trial balance, and other financial statements. And typically, how much time does these documents, takes to be done? Like some people get it done in as simple as 10 minutes to 15 minutes, depending upon their firm size, the volume of transactions, and more. Some people or some firms do transact bigger volumes, and that would be somewhere between, 1 hour to 3 hours per week. And it totally depends. Like if you're a real estate lawyer, obviously you'll have more transactions to be doing as part of bookkeeping, and you have to be mentioning all of that in your respective documents and the legal accounting software that you're using. So how does this typically assist and help you save time, streamline the process and all of it? So this is what we're going to see today. Yes, I'm so sorry about the beep sound every few seconds. Typically, the first few minutes of the webinar, people join, people turn on their audio, and then, I'm sorry about that. I know it's irritating a bit, but maybe the regular attendees here, I would request you all to bear with us for some time. I think more new attendees are joining in. Let's give them some time to settle in. Once they get used to the webinar, they know that we start typically at 2 p.m. and it is important if you can log in like 5 to 10 minutes early, because any reminder is sent at 1:45 EST. It would be really nice if people join in just right before I start talking. So I, in fact, delay till I see many people in there have turned on their audio. So it'd be really nice and understanding of you if you all could join in maybe 5 minutes early and help us out here. Thank you so much. All right, so that's about the agenda today. And it's really a very interesting topic. If you ask me, I would say every single CPD webinar that we do is really interesting. But this one, considering the time that I'm doing it with you all, is very interesting, because I know another 4 weeks down the line, everybody has to be wrapping up their annual report. Last day to submit your annual reports, deadlines approaching. So this is going to be super helpful if you have not yet completed your reconciliations, your compliances, you know how to do it, what to do. That's exactly why we have this topic out today. To begin with, first of all, understand the accounting systems, understand which is the basic accounting system that you're opting for, whether you're using a spreadsheet or you're manually entering data in your paper pen, or if you're using a general accounting software, something like QuickBooks, or if you're using a legal accounting software, something like uLaw. Choosing an accounting system that is right for your firm, for yourself, that works best for your practice is really important. That is going to be one of the basic things. Definitely considering the cost, the implementation policy, the time and effort that goes behind understanding a software. But if I could take the liberty to say that all of this is going to be a one-time cost or one-time setup time, where you spend that little time understanding how everything works. Once you have it in place, you understand the software, the system that you're adopting, then things starts to look much simpler. You have a process adopted, you have a system adopted, you are following it. It just keeps going on in loops, and everything is much clearer, faster as you start progressing. Things look much better. So it is the initial time when someone is setting up their firm, someone is understanding the practice and the system and process that suits them the best. That is this particular screen about the stage where we say choosing your right accounting system. Then you have to obviously understand your bank accounts, how many types of bank accounts you have. Are you someone who has both trust and general? And if it's general, do you also have a business credit card? And do you do your business transactions using your business credit card, or do you use it using your own pocket and then you reimburse yourself? So most of the law firms will have at least one general account and one trust account, pool trust account, where you will have all your clients' retainers and trust money going into the trust. And then once the billing is done, once the work is done, or at least a portion of the work is done, you get to bill out and then move the funds from trust to the general, which is what is called as trust transfer. And this is exactly where people sometimes hit the panic button and like, oh, I have to move the funds from trust to the general. What now? What is required? So a very basic point here is that when you're looking to move funds from trust to the general, keep in mind that you first need to have sufficient funds in the trust account. And then comes into the picture something called as invoice, because you have the money that lies in your trust account is not yours. It is a liability. It is your client's money that you have got as a retainer or any other trust deposit that is sitting in the trust account. And if you intend to make that yours, we as in the Law Society, wants you to let the client know through the method of invoicing, saying that these are the items that I am billing you for, rather legal fees, services, disbursements, and this is the reason why I'm moving the funds from trust to the general account. Now, this is what is called as trust transfer. Now, the trust transfer happens in many different methods. Some people like to write checks from trust to the general account. Some people like to do internal bank transfers. Some people do electronic fund transfers. Now, if you are in Ontario, what Law Society again says is that, and if you're electronically transferring funds from trust to the general, you will need to make sure to provide your client with Form 90. Not just client, but also the Law Society. I mean, typically client with invoice and Law Society with Form 90, you have to download the Form 90, consisting of details such as what was the reason of your transfer, the reference number, date, and then debit account number and details, credit account number and details, and everything else, right? So once you have them, you would just be able to go ahead and do the needful to submit the reports to Law Society. Now, in all of this process, here comes into the picture the software that you're using or the process or the system that you're adopting. Now, let's assume you're a uLaw user. For every transaction that takes place in your financial institution, you also have to enter it into the respective bank accounts. You first have trust. That's where you get the money in. So hence you see in this slide here, you have examples of both the ledgers. One is trust and the other one is general. Now, if you take trust for an example, it shows both types of activities. So ledgers generally shows both types of transactions. It shows receipts and then it shows disbursements. So each of the ledger has the running balance, it has the date, it has the reference numbers, it has the invoice number. If it's general, it has the the reason, whether it's a legal fee or whether it's a mortgage. That's what is called as particulars. Now, all of this captured under the respective types of ledgers, and if you have a deposit in, it shows as receipt. If you have a withdrawal, it shows as a disbursement. Similarly, when you take a general ledger, it's the duty of the general ledger is to show what is the invoiced amount, which is what we call as receivables from the client, and then either the trust transfer or the payment from the client is recorded under the general account, and that goes in as a credit. So that's what you're seeing under the right-hand side, client's general ledger. Initially, the client was billed, and then the payment came into the general account. And then in the second example, you see the client was billed, but the payment came into the general account in the form of trust transfer. That's what you see on the left-hand side too, that the retainer was collected and then the payment was transferred from trust to the general. If you see the second example in both the ledgers on the left and right, it's the same account. One is from the trust point of view, Peter Piper, and the other one is from the general point of view. Now, of course, journals are very similar to ledgers, except for the fact journals are in the nature of single type of activity. It showcases or records single type of activity. You have one of each for receipt and one of each for general, for the trust and general. As you all can see under the journal, we have more information. Typically, journals are more intense version of providing details. Like if I could say more um, drill down version, you get to see the source of funds, you get to see the method of payment, which is an additional column that you can see here. And then the person who it was paid to, if it's a disbursement, or person who it was received from, which is also the source of funds. It is maintained for both trust and general, again, for both receipts and disbursements in nature. So typically, ledgers are of 2 types, journals are of 4 types. And as you can see, the sample journal entries capture more minute information as the method of payment and the reference numbers, the source of funds, recipient details, and more. So if you are someone who would think twice to complete a transaction without these information, I would say journals are the place where auditors or the Law Society likes to see the level of completeness of information. So hence, we generally in uLaw do not allow someone to complete a transaction without a reference number, especially in case of receipts. So, receipts shouldn't be a problem, but disbursements is sometimes where people tend to not capture method of payment and reference numbers. I know it's not a big thing from our side, but when a bookkeeper or an accountant or the auditor is reviewing the transaction for various purposes, it's much simpler when the transaction is complete and they get to see this journal with all the details on it. So for that very reason, this is exactly how we would recommend you to enter the details into the program. Moving on to reconciliations. As you all can now see under the Law Society compliance documents, so far we've seen 2 ledgers and 4 journals. Now this is the order in which mostly Law Society compliances are generated. Now comes into picture, bigger picture is the reconciliation. Reconciliation for trust, and then we do have reconciliation for general. Now reconciliation for trust and in general, mostly similar, but just barring one step is the bank error, where trust has a concept called as bank error, which comes into play when you have, when you have any sort of error that is taken out of the bank account. Like, let's say, for example, you have, as an error, you have overdrawn money or underdrawn, like rather over deposited also, both. So it's called as positive bank error and negative bank error. Okay, I have a nice comment. It is hard to associate these lovely documents and journal ledgers with the steps we must do on the actual application. I would be doing that in the next 10 minutes. The last 25 minutes is always by showcasing it on the uLaw software. I would be more than happy to walk you all through this step by step. I'll take a few examples, do it together, generate these documents, and show you all. It'd be my pleasure to do that. Thank you, viewer number 19, for being honest. So now we are here on trust reconciliation part. The process for trust reconciliation is really important to make sure that the numbers from your financial institution matches that of your, your bank statement with the account that you're using. Like, let's say you're using a software like uLaw. The accounting procedure totally demonstrates each and every transaction entered in there. Ensure that the balance as per the bank statements entered. Then you reduce all of the outstanding checks, because any day that's going to go out of your bank account, if not today, then tomorrow, then day after tomorrow, within the next 2-3 months, it should be cleared, right? Any check outstanding for more than 3 months, you will have to take it to the notice, either cancel that check and issue a new check, or you have to understand what is the issue. Very similar to that is outstanding deposits. You need to add them, because if not today, tomorrow you're going to go back into the bank and put it in. And then comes into picture add or subtract bank error. Depending upon whether it's a negative or a positive bank error, you will have to enter them in. Now, bank errors are very common. If it's from the bank side, I've seen a few from the bank side where you would be transferring something, let's say a refund back to client, and then there's a $1.50 of charge for it, which the bank charges on your trust account, which they shouldn't be. So you will have to either go in person, let them know, or write an email to the bank manager, or write a letter letting them know that you have a trust account and they cannot take any bank charges out of the trust account, and it has to be going out from the corresponding general account. On the other hand, all the outstanding checks, all the outstanding deposits, trust listing meaning any clients with balance in the trust account, all of them are shown on the reconciliation report from the respective software. Now, the activity basically consists of 4 parts, as you can see here. Step 1 is to make sure to record the bank balances. And then step 2, to make sure to record outstanding checks, outstanding deposits, any bank errors, and then you arrive at mixed trust balance as per the trust. And once the trust comparison is out, you understand what are the differences, why is the difference, that's exactly why you have outstanding checks, bank errors, trust listing, and all. General is much simpler in terms of reconciliation. Again, there's no bank error concept there, but everything else, no bank error concept, no trust listing concept, because trust listing is holding the client's money in the trust and the balance for each. Yeah, and then the rest are just the same. Okay, moving on to fee book. As I mentioned already, fee book records all of these invoices and disbursements. It calculates the legal fee, some legal fee with disbursement, some without disbursement. So if there's anything billed with disbursement, it will show in a separate column called as disbursements billed. Then you have fee book. So here's an example with the invoice number, the client, legal fee, disbursements, and total bill. Similar to that, we have Form 9A, cash receipts. We also have deposit slips, Form 9A, following all of the samples that you see here at the bottom. We have everything available within the software, including EFTs, so that will showcase all the necessary details to Law Society. And as the need arises, some of them would not have a trust account at all, but still need to keep up with compliances. They would need to do their monthly compliances for general account, general reconciliations. There are monthly compliances done, which has journals, ledgers, fee books, other forms that you need to keep up with. I know a few of you. We are almost at the last two slides. I know I said I'll start the last 25 minutes showcasing uLaw for all of you. Don't worry. Yeah. Yes, this is the slide I am on. Yes. Now, how much time you're spending managing all of these? Like I said, it depends totally on the firm size, the process and the method that you opt for. But every time you follow a method and you try to maintain it, make sure that you are not committing many mistakes and you're following a process that would make sure to have a very seamless integrations, accounting, translating every matter or file that you have worked on with accounting very seamlessly, because let's say you open a file, you add the retainer, you raise invoice, you transfer funds, all that happens from matter, and then finally when you go into accounts you see all the numbers sitting in there. How does that work? That's exactly what a legal accounting software should be doing, and helps you translating all the matter management that happens with seamless accounting integrations here. Preventing all errors, making reconciliation simpler day by day. So recording the data as and when happened from your side, and generating the documents with the reconciliation process is extremely important. So that's what I was trying to. Yes, no, you haven't missed any slides. I have people who really so eager. I'm so happy to see that. Yeah. Now, I know many of you here are uLaw users. Some of you are not. For someone who's not a uLaw user, this is a great time for you to kickstart, to understand how the program works, what are the things that from Law Society standpoint we are able to cater to, right? Like including the reconciliation and compliance documents, matter management, even under the matter management. Today, I know we're talking about Law Society Bookkeeping Compliance, but every week we try to take different topics. Sometimes we focus on matter management level compliance. Sometimes we talk about client management level compliance. I think last week we did that. Sometimes we talk about calendaring and more. So they're like different sections where compliance plays a huge role. Now, when you take the benefits of legal accounting software, recording events as and when they happen, and ensuring that your financial institution or records matches with that of, the bank records, and also finally, it's about compliance, accountability, making sure there's ease of use, and you're able to use it from anywhere. Any questions? I do have a couple of questions here where people are asking about their reconciliation. It would be really nice if you could email us on support, because, yes, I'm going to list the forms you need. I'm definitely going to do that. Actually, I'm not sure if you're a uLaw user, if you're 13, if you are a uLaw user, you go under the respective compliance tab, you have the list of compliance documents that you need to generate every month right sitting there. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so let me quickly shift the focus to uLawPractice. Any questions, you're welcome to please start entering it on the chat window. As I start showcasing, I would be able to walk you all through it. So let's say we take a new client. So I always love entering these information. I know it's not going to help for the accounting compliance, but compliance at the contact level, matter level. Okay. By the way, you don't have to literally go over doing all that I just did now. You saw it took about a minute, all right? Very recently now, uLaw has this new feature where you can literally create a client by using the mic, press, hold, and talk. The first name is Nancy, and the last name is Jordan. He is a basketball player. Sorry, she's a basketball player, and she lives on 90 Baldwin Avenue, Toronto, Ontario. Please fill all the address, and the postal code is L5N 786. Typically should get that going. Not sure what just happened in there. Give me a second. You really need to speak into the mic. Oh, okay. Give me a second. I think I didn't turn it on. Just give me a second. I'd like to make sure everything is good here. First name is Nancy. Last name is Jordan. Profession, basketball player. Source of contact, friends. Address, 90 Baldwin Avenue, Toronto. Typically load and bring up the data. Yeah. Oh my God. There it is. I'm sorry. This is a new feature. I'm just trying it for the very first time on a live webinar. So it's sorry about that. It took me a couple times. So it definitely has something to do with the mic. So make sure you speak into the mic and you're very close enough to the system, either the phone or the microphone that you're using. So make sure all the details are entered in easier, hands-free. Let's say you're driving, you want to get this contact set up, as simple as that. No. The Nancy file is created without even me having to enter the stuff. All right, so we have the contact in there. Let's just open the matter. So once the file is open, say this is a family file, have a code file number. Hourly rate, your assistance, everything entered in there. So your legal fees is entered. Let's say we're doing a flat rate, even though we generally do a billable time, just to save some time here. And let's say the client gave a $1,000 retainer with the email transfer. Just look at the way I'm trying to record the transactions. The client paid me yesterday. We've entered the amount, method of payment, the reference numbers, received from. So these are exactly what that gets into various documents that gets generated. Could be receipts, could be journals, could be ledgers, could be other compliance documents as well. So please ensure to enter complete information in order to be able to provide completeness in every document that gets generated. So we now have to, let's say we're adding a disbursement. This disbursement was made from general. Let's say this was process server. Let's say this was $150 plus taxes. You spent the same, and then was spent through general. You paid to using a email transfer, or it was an online payment. You have a reference number. Similarly, let's say you did a disbursement from trust. This was court filing fee, was a certified check, or you took a bank draft, or you wrote a check, was an electronic transfer, whichever is the method of payment. Payments. You can also print check from the program. So let's say now, in order to transfer the money, we need to raise an invoice, and then make the transfer from trust to the general. So I ensure that the invoice is raised before the transfer is done at the bank, so that I follow the steps. So we have the invoice raised. I'm going to click on question mark in uLaw. Once the invoice is raised from the matter level, you click on question mark. You have something called as matter analytics, which will show you all how the financial transactions took place. There was a $1,000 deposit in trust, out of which $200 was withdrawn, which was for the court filing fee, with leaving us with an $800 balance. That was about trust. You can also reprint invoice. You can print ledgers right from here. You can take a look at it. Then we have the general, where you have raised an invoice for $2,429.50. This includes the legal fee and the disbursement that was made from the general account for the process server fee. We can also take a look at the ledger from here. So we have the legal fee, $2,000 plus taxes, and then the disbursements was $169.50. That was $150 plus taxes, leaving us with $800 in trust. Of course, you will be transferring the money first in the real bank so that you get the reference number. Then you make the transfer here so that you can enter the reference number into the program with the right method of payment. And if you are in Ontario, as I already mentioned, if you're doing an electronic fund transfer, you can generate Form 9A within seconds. All right. I have a couple of interesting questions. Is this transfer from trust to general happening here on paper, or is it always happening on a live transfer, funds being moved at the bank? Trust to general transfer needs to happen at, you can do a check level, you can do a paper level. That's what, when you mean paper level, I understand as check. Or you could do it at the real-time bank on your online banking. If you're doing a real-time online bank, and if you are from Ontario, what Law Society says is you need to generate something called as Form 9A, which is called as Electronic Trust Transfer Acquisition. But to answer your question, you could do it in both check and EFT, bank transfers, which is bank-to-bank internal transfers too. And then if you're doing EFT, you need to make sure to generate this form. There's another question. Is this system connected to actual bank accounts? Yes, but not for trust. Actually, yes for all three, trust, general, and credit card. But for trust especially, the purpose behind connecting the bank account is to ensure that you can pull out the bank statements from the program without leaving the program to see the transactions, review it, and perform the reconciliation. However, all of these transactions that takes place has to be done at the bank side first, and then the connection in uLaw is just to add the transactions back into the program. For example, your general account, if it's connected, your credit card, if it's connected, you can actually add the transactions. Right now, mine is not connected. I have some issue with that. I, to be honest, forgot the user ID password, or it's not working, but I promise in the next session I will showcase you all this part. Yes, but the whole idea of bank connection is for your withdrawals to be added into the program swiftly. All right, so I have another interesting question from viewer 19. When you're moving these funds, it is also happening on the back end, or can we do it in the application and then actually do it in our online banking afterwards? I would say the other way around. You should be doing it in your bank first and then follow uLaw. Because, like I said, I need the reference number at the bank level. Once I fetch the reference, I can enter it in the program and complete it. It's very similar to bookkeeping is always keeping up with your books, right? Like making sure that everything with your transactions at the bank side is kept in there. That's how it works. Any other questions, anyone? Before I go ahead and start generating the compliance documents, I'll be more than happy to walk you all through any questions that you have. So far, we've seen on how to create a contact file. At contact level as well, we have our compliances right there at each and every section. At the matter level as well, we have compliance right there. Okay. Yes, the conflict check screen is built in. Happens right there, just to showcase you all. As a matter of fact, of compliances, Society says that conflict check is one of your basic level of compliance to be adhered to. Even though it's not part of bookkeeping, but it's still part of Law Society compliances. Mm, Yes, that's a very nice point. You're 33. Thank you for bringing it up. So when you have a two-factor authentication, your bank connection fails again and again. You will be able to connect to the bank. So that's exactly what happened with mine right now. So I need to go and turn it off, or I need to check with my support site what happened in there. But I really don't know why this happens at our site. Like right now, I'm not able to showcase that to you. But at your end, if you have a two-factor authentication on, kindly turn it off so that we will be able to connect. We, as in uLawPractice, will be able to connect to your bank and pull out the transactions and upload into the software for you to be able to come in and take a look and add them into the respective bank accounts. Right, sorry, into the respective ledgers, journals, basically into the respective sub-accounts. Like you want to category, subcategories, make sure that it goes into rent or, your other office expenses and all. You could, yeah, there's a way you could do that. You could definitely talk to your bank guys or go online and there's security questions or something that are very similar when you remove a two-factor authentication. You can talk to your bank and fix that, but once you do that, it's really helpful. Worst case scenario, the other step that I would recommend is to import bank statement and connect and to upload your bank statement. Yeah, yeah. Import bank statement is definitely one that I would recommend. Bank Connect, yes, if you are able to remove and connect it, that would be good too. All right, so let's get into generating these compliance documents so far that I was able to do. I will just do with today's date range because I don't think I worked on anything else today here. So let's generate a couple of ledgers. And then we have the journals. Okay, we have 4 journals, 2 each for trust and general. There's one for receipts and one for disbursements for both trust. Okay, and then the general. We also have the fee book. Let me show you all how the fee book looks because I raised an invoice with the disbursements. So inter-matter trust transfer is when you have 2 matters for the same client and you're moving funds within the bank, but you're not typically moving funds, but you're moving funds within 2 matters. Expense book, if you have any office expenses, also shows up in there. That is the reconciliation. We have Form 9A that I already showed you all. The reconciliation happens here. Trust reconciliation, entering a date first, then the balance as per the bank statement. and then start clearing the transactions that you only see in the bank statement. The ones you don't see in the bank statement for that particular period needs to be unchecked or uncleared, which will subsequently get cleared. And then you will also see the reconciliation option showing up. Yeah. Once that's done, reconciliation is completed. I do see more questions. General and credit, but not trust account. Are you talking about uLaw accounts, or you're talking about the reconciliation? I'm sorry, I'm lost there. Please to kind of elaborate on your questions, so I'll be able to help you there. All right. So the documents that I just generated for you all to take a look. Starting off with the client ledger. Ledger shows both receipts and disbursements with the check number, the method payments. We have all the receipts and disbursements. The receipts don't show here because I did it for today's date, whereas if I go in there and say client's trust receipt, let's say I wanted to do let's say I did it yesterday and today's date. And this will show you the receipt as well as the disbursement. There you go. Similarly, I have more questions. Yes, import bank statement shows only general and credit card. Trust is not. Trust, we have to do it manually. We don't allow import into trust. Hope that works. Here is the transaction for Nancy Jordan, the $1,000 that came into the trust yesterday. $200 that was taken out for payment for code filing fee, and then the remaining funds of $800 was transferred into the general account, calling as a trust transfer for both legal fee and other disbursements. And then we have payment journals. Journals shows a single type of activity. If it's payment, it shows all the disbursement. So we have the 200 that went out of the trust, and then the trust transfer in here. Let's look at the general disbursement. There was only 150 plus taxes. That was for the process server fee with the reference number, online payment, method of payment, who it was paid to, taxes portion, and more. If you take the fee book, we get to see what was the amount of legal fee, what was the amount of disbursement, and more. We also have expense book that shows the expenses. In this case, the difference between disbursement journal and expense is that disbursement journal shows only the client disbursements made from general and the trust, whereas expense book shows the expenses from general for both disbursements as well as office expenses. Any other questions? Any of you? I'm opening the floor for questions. Please do let me know. Be really nice as I'm going to start sharing attendance link and also the CPD details. Please do let me know if you have anything to elaborate. I could pause and show you all. I hope this session was really helpful for people who are in the process of wrapping up their year-end compliances and more. We are also going to be sharing more useful links, so I request everyone to stay back for a couple minutes and make note of it. Sure. First, let me share this link for today's session, and then I request you to please stay in there so I can share. If you go into the playlist in YouTube, you should be able to find the recent one, but I can still provide it to you. Just give me one moment. Okay, there you go. We have. When you go into youtube.uLawPractice, there's a playlist and this separate playlist called Webinars. And if you go into Webinars, the last one was updated about 6 days ago. That was on, I think, expense management, happened on 20th of Feb. I'm going to share the link here so you can view it at your end later. The video number was, there's no video number. I think it just says uLaw Webinar CPD, type 20th Feb Law Office Expense Management. That's the title. However, I'm sharing the link here for you to review. That was the topic for the last session. Kindly mark the attendance. Just to keep the CPD short or the recording to 1 hour, I'm going to be turning off the recording, but I'm here to answer your questions, to make a few announcements. So I request everyone to hang in tight for a couple minutes. There are more useful links that I'm going to be sharing and information. So thank you so much once again for joining in and turning off the recording.